everyone, Chaos Creations here. I just wanted to go through a few things. I have been busy once again with doing 3D printing with resin settings. Here we have a griffin or hippogriff with a saddle on his back. And it's turned out quite nicely. It's been printed at 0.2, and this will be given to my friend Daniel so he can have some more Empire stuff with his steam cannons and his tanks, steam cannons, normal cannons that I've given him. So this will be like for a character, he can fly on the back of that and looks quite nice. And it's printed at 0.2, but it's come out quite nicely. It'll paint up very beautifully. I also have for him a dwarf, a little dwarf berserker here, looking quite nice and happy. He hasn't got an arm there yet, but, that's only one print away. All that said, I mean, realistically speaking, I can just leave it as is, and my friend can get in focus, and my friend can put on an arm of his choosing. I don't know, I'll give him a chat. Well, no, it's got a weapon there, is that where his other arm goes? Or is that, I think that's where another arm goes. It looks like it goes somewhere. Anyway, we'll find out. I'll look at the files. I thought it was a complete one print. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it hasn't printed properly. I'll find out. But for 0.2, that's not looking too bad. Now, if it stays in focus, we have an ogre mercenary. And we'll see how this one turns out, shall we? So, once again, what I find is it's better just to snap off the very bases, the base of where the supports are, and then you just wiggle the rest of them done. Now, this is being done on camera, so like I say, bear with me. Now, before I forget, these are the dwarf, and this guy is from Avatars of War, before I forget. And these are part of a Patreon that I used to be for when I had a resin printers back in the dark ages of my life. Not that dark ages, wasn't that too long ago. Okay, there we go. Don't want to snap anything off that isn't supposed to snap off, so I'm being a bit careful, I guess is a nice word. I've got most of it now. There we go. There we go, I got the bottom. And as soon as you get that bottom off, the rest of it will just come off quite easily. You just have to be careful. The reason why I chose this guy is because he's big and chunky. There's no little whimsical pieces like the skeletons. It's all ogre size. Now, these are printed at 0.2. You could try doing it at 0.1. I've had no success so far, but I'm always trying to push the envelope a little bit and see how I go. So if you actually succeed, please let me know. I'm using a bamboo carbon, and I love my bamboo carbon. It is such a great printer, best printer I've ever seen, even better than resin printers in some respects. It's just so much easier to use. Okay, there we go. Get those bits of support off, and I can take it around and show you. Just get that off. So the supports are at 0.2 as well, so it gives it lots of support, and I think it's what makes it print quite easily. Okay, so there we go. It's printed. That's, if it gets on focus, that's at 0.2. So for an ogre for your army, I don't think that's particularly too bad. It's got some good detail there, and I'll just clean it up a little bit. And there are techniques I've now been learning on how to get rid of the layer lines and how to make it look a bit more smoother. So, for example, we had this horsey here and this horsey here. Now, if you look at them, you can tell where the layer lines are. It's quite obvious on some of these. For me in particular, I can really see it very, very easily. So, for me, it's like the lines here and such, and on the legs and on the rib cage, I can see it quite easily. Most people may not be able to see it. So what I've done is I've been getting techniques. So here, you can see it sort of a little bit here and a little bit over here. But for the rest of the horse model, it's perfectly fine. It's all good. Maybe a little bit on the bridle there, but even then. And the technique I'm using, I'll do a video of later on. But it can be done, not a problem. So if you are with a printer that only prints PLA, you don't have a resin printer, it is possible. It's not easy. Well, it is easy now. I know what I'm doing, so it's not that hard at all. But that said, you know, it's pretty good for what it is. I think there's probably sword that's come off there. Just let me check for a second. But no, that's just how it is. It's just a big blunt weapon. Cool, no worries. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to print out some more ogres for my friend. I've got 3 different versions or 4 different versions. And I will do the arm for the dwarf just in case he does want one. I mean, look, for that is, I mean, that miniature would have cost me about, you know, $2 to print, realistically speaking. It's not perfect, but rank and file at the back, no one's really going to notice. And same with the hippogriff / griffin. You know, it's a nice little model, and that would have cost me about $3 to $5 to make. You know, pop that on the base, put a dude on there, not a problem. So if you need to do low-cost armies, it is possible. This is just one of many ways. You can get stuff on Amazon. I saw they did a pack of 100 skeletons that were like cheap plastic things. They were very gaudy, but, you know, 100 of them for like $40. Now, they were made from plastic, which is very hard to paint. But just put them in a black wash, put them in a bit of a red wash, and then another brown wash. It would have looked perfectly fine, not a problem. Before I forget, I have a competition going. Please like, subscribe, and if you have any comments or questions, please do ask. Now, these settings are just the same as the resin settings, except for it's at 0.2. There's no need for supports because it prints with supports. I do put down a brim just to give it a bit more extra support, because sometimes these things only come out with tiny little chunks or squares for the support. So if it's all got one big flat umbrella, it seems to be a lot more sturdy and it's not going to fly off. So that's just me personally. I mean, I don't mind wasting a little bit of filament if I get a perfect model like I did with the ogre just there. So yeah. Anyway, any questions, just ask. I will be using my new palette over the weekend, hopefully, on my undead, because I've got to get them together. And once they're all together and done and dusted, then I get all the metal ones out and I start working on those. And once those are done, I'm out of skeletons and undead to paint. So it's terrain, and more terrain. Anyway, I'm babbling. It's a hot and sticky night here in Perth, Western Australia. Everyone have a great night. This is Chaos signing off. And remember, love the game, love yourself. Chaos out. Bye-bye.